And joining me now from Canberra is Dr Greg Fealy, Senior Lecturer in Indonesian Politics at ANU. Dr Fealy, before we discuss the deaths of two more suspected terrorists at the weekend, 7 years on from the Bali bombings, what have we learnt, and is Bali any safer today?
I think not only Bali, but Indonesia itself is safer, particularly as a result of the shooting and arrest of a large number of terrorists over the last 7 years. We've seen Jemaah Islamiyah, the organisation largely responsible for that first Bali bombing, being rendered into a state of disarray by the police crackdown. And I think the terrorism threat has been reduced. It's still present, but it's certainly been reduced. And we've learnt a lot about who did those attacks and why they did them.
But there are still travel warnings for Australians, so clearly there's still a risk, perhaps a considerable risk.
My own view would be that that situation has changed a little in the last 2 or 3 months because the main group that's been responsible for all of the big attacks since 2003, that's the Noorden network, the network led by Noorden Mohammed Top, has been partially decapitated by the recent police shootings of key leaders and also the arrest of some of the key lieutenants. Now, the network hasn't been eliminated, but I think its ability to mount attacks has been certainly disrupted. So for the short term, I think the threat has been diminished somewhat.
Well, let's talk about the deaths of the two Indonesian militants over the weekend. These two were apparently brothers and wanted in connection with the hotel bombings in Jakarta in July. What can you tell us about them?
Well, these were two very significant raids by the police because these two brothers, Saifuddin Jailani and Shahrir, were people who many observers thought had a good chance of replacing Noorden at the head of this terrorism network. So it was, in a way, regrettable that they were shot by the police because they may have yielded a great deal of information. But nonetheless, in terms of terrorist threat, their removal from the scene means that the net will have to be cast wider to find people who might be able to take over from Noorden. So that's quite a significant breakthrough for the police.
You say it was significant against terrorism in Indonesia, but how long does it really take these groups to recruit and train new disciples?
Well, one of the things we've learned in the last few months is that these groups are remarkably effective at training people very quickly, and people from quite a wide range of backgrounds and quite a contrasting age group as well. So we should never underestimate the ability of the groups to regenerate. One question, though, is their possession of technical skills, the people who can make bombs and who can put together coordinator operations like we saw with the Marriott and Ritz-Carlton bombings in July. They were very sophisticated operations that showed a lot of patience and had a lot of control from the leading figures. And does this network possess people who have the training and the experience to do that? That's a question. We know they have some of those people. Do they have enough to put together operations? I'm sure, though, Jim, the bottom line is that there are people who want to continue to attack Western targets in Indonesia. The question is, do they have the capability to do it in the short term?
Dr Greg Fealy, we're out of time, unfortunately, but thank you very much.
My pleasure.